So I am not doing readings tonight. So as you pop online and you see me, be aware that I am not I am not doing readings. Sorry, I just got something that popped through and it's quite hilarious. Anyway, and I had to read it because it was a response to something else. Anyway, I'm not doing readings tonight, and I'm not doing any kind of psychic work tonight. Tonight, this is merely an opportunity for anybody who joins us to ask questions and to better to open up a dialogue and to create an understanding about what it is to be psychic, what it is to develop that psychic ability, what it is to have a mediumship skill and how you develop it. And of course, what is tarot? How does tarot work? All those kind of things. So I mean, it's a very wide open discussion, and it is an invitation to ask me anything that you can in reference to tarot cards, psychic abilities, and mediumship. The only thing that I ask specifically is don't ask me for personal readings, because that is not what tonight is about. And the second thing is, if you bring in some negative energy and you want to cause some negative conflict, please show yourself to the door, because no negativity tonight. This is a very positive space. Your questions are valid before you even ask them. I'm going to tell you your questions are valid. So feel comfortable with the questions that you ask. Feel comfortable that I will answer the best I can, and be comfortable knowing that there's going to be no judgment here. Because again, the negativity and judgment, if you bring it with you, you're welcome to leave as well, or leave it at the door as you come in, because this is a very safe and comfortable, non-judgmental zone. So again, tonight we are just merely discussing tarot cards, psychic abilities, and mediumship. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask in reference to any of that, you're welcome to do so, and I'll do my best to answer. Now, I don't know all of the answers. I will give you that up front. I am not the expert, because I don't think there is an expert in this field. I think that there are many people who have a lot of feelings about it, and there are people who are very knowledgeable. Hey, Liz, how are you? Liz Ann, nice to see you popping in. Anyway, so again, there are so many different ideas and thoughts about this. These are merely my thoughts and what I believe and what I feel and sense about those abilities. So again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Joanne Baldoa, I've been meditating every night, getting bright lights and sensation of heat. I can't get past this stage as I fall asleep during the process. How can I get past this? Okay, so I've been meditating every night, getting bright lights and sensations of heat. I can't get past this stage. Interesting. I would say there's probably, again, when usually, yeah, I recognize the thing, Jojo. Absolutely. Usually when I hear of meditation issues and getting beyond certain things, the one thing is well, there's two possibilities. First thing is that the level that the level of meditation, the state that you're getting into, you may need to go a little deeper. And the second thing could be the concentration level. So the one thing that I would suggest, the two things I can suggest, is if you're going too long, then again, it's like both ends of the spectrum. You could be going too long or not long enough. But generally speaking, sometimes if you go too long, you wind up not getting where you need to be. Because for some people, it's not the length of time, but it's the quality of the time that you spend in meditation. So sometimes it's, again, the timing aspect. Second thing can be the time in which you're doing it. Sometimes your mind is far more active in the day. Sometimes it's far more active in the night. It depends on what time of day, again, and how your body responds to that. So you may want to adjust the timing. Try it in the morning versus in the evening. Try it in the midday and see if you get a different response based on time. Timing is absolutely everything. And then a third thing that I would suggest is that candle thing I told you about. It'll help you, again, because with meditation, the whole thing of meditation is teaching you to focus your mind and to learn to control the mind and its focus abilities. So what I would suggest is doing the candle again, and that's a very thin tapered candle. And at the very top, of course, light that flame. Do not pay attention to the flame. Don't pay attention to anything around you. I mean, don't pay attention to the candle. Don't pay attention to things around you. Pay attention to that flame, and do that for about 5 minutes. Again, stare into the flame and only at the flame for 5 minutes. If you do this a consistent period of time, if the other things don't work, try this. Okay. So again, the first thing I would try is maybe adjusting which time you do it. And then the second thing I would try is the length of time. If it's too short or too long, depending on how your body's reacting, depending on where it's coming through. But again, the third choice and the last choice in that line would be that candle. And so focus on the flame. It will take you more than a few times to get that comfortable with it to the point where you totally control your mind. It's going to take you probably 5 to 7 times, up to 2 weeks. But eventually you will have such control over your mind, because your mind is you're forcing your mind to focus solely on the flame, that you will learn to block everything else out. And when you do that, you'll realize that, wow, now I can tell my mind now I can control my mind and tell my mind what it is I want to do. Because again, your mind is very stubborn, and your subconscious is as stubborn, if not more stubborn, than your conscious. So give that a try and let me know some feedback. Let me know if that indeed helped you, Jojo. I tried this morning, but it's harder for me at this time. I'm going to do the flame tonight. Super, super. But remember, Jojo, when you try the flame, make sure that you give no more than 5 minutes, no more than 5. Again, because you don't want to outwear yourself out. And more importantly, you need to learn how to quickly coalesce your energies to one focus. So again, no more than 5 minutes each time, and the same time each day. That is so important, because you're training your body, you're training your mind, and you're training spirit. You're saying, Spirit, I'm available at this time. Spirit, I'm open to communication at this time. Spirit, I'm reaching out to you at this time. So what you're doing is you're teaching spirit, you're teaching yourself, you're teaching your mind to understand and appreciate this very special time of the day for you. And spirit then will come in on those times. So don't be surprised that after about a week, when you're doing this, again, the same time every day for the same 5 minutes, eventually spirit starts coming in and talking to you. And spirit then helps you to learn even more. So give that a try, Jojo. Let me know what happens. I would be very surprised if you didn't see some benefit from it, but definitely give me feedback, okay? I'm looking forward to it. Next is Lisanne, and Lisanne was saying, how do you approach understanding very symbolic dreams without making it an ego-based interpretation? Interesting question, Lisanne. Lisanne, the one thing is, unfortunately, part of it is ego-based, only in the sense that you understand your own vocabulary. And again, your vocabulary, when I say vocabulary, I don't mean if you open up a dictionary and understand a book, as we've spoken about before, as I think you understand where I'm going with this, but for everybody else to understand, as I mentioned this to you, when you are finally touching base and learning to develop and grow your abilities, you will get queries, you will get questions in your head, you will get ideas and thoughts that come to you, and you won't know what they mean necessarily initially. Now, you know they mean something, but you're not quite certain what they mean. And this is how the vocabulary starts. It's like a child. A child sees an orange. They don't know an orange is an orange. They eventually learn that somebody, when they touch it, oh, orange, 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 and they connect it. That's what you're doing here. You're connecting your symbols. And so when you start seeing something repeat, when you start seeing a symbol repeat in a dream, that symbol repeating in a dream, over time, you'll see 2, 3, 4 different times, and they'll have different dreams, but the same symbol. And you're thinking, in that dream, it seemed to mean this, and this dream, and eventually you'll say, okay, I can make that connection. That is how you learn your vocabulary, as well as using that same vocabulary when you're doing your psychic ability development. And so if I'm sitting in front of you and I'm trying to read you, and I'm a new psychic, or I'm still developing, and I'm always developing because my vocabulary still is limited in comparison to what it should be. And I think every psychic is, because every once in a while we're surprised, we'll get an image and we're thinking, wow, and I'll give you an example. The other day, yesterday, or was it this morning? I think it was last night, 9/11. And I kept seeing 9/11, and I asked this woman about 9/11, and I said, but I'm not attached to 9/11, so I don't feel like the spirit is attached to the day of 9/11, which is what we all know as, September 11th, 2001. Eventually, she couldn't get it. I couldn't get it. And then I said, well, how about the 9th month of the 11th year? So September of 2011. And that's when the light came on. She said, oh yeah, my mother passed in September of 2011. And that's because the spirit was telling me 9/11, 9/11, 9/11. So that was the connection there. So what again, where I'm going with this is that when you start practicing your psychic abilities and you're sitting in front of somebody else and you're trying to read them and the symbols pop up, then you ask them, you talk and you say, I'm getting this symbol and I'm guessing that it's this, or I'm feeling that it might be this, it might mean this. And when I said that about 9/11, that was my thinking, because I had not ever had a 9/11 symbol. So I had to work through it and think, okay, is it the obvious or is it something different? Well, again, she was able to verify that, oh no, it was 9/11, but it was not the literal 9/11. It was the 9th month of the 2011. And so, again, it's learning, it's getting confirmation that what you are feeling about that symbol, what you're feeling about that information is true or not true. And then over time, when you sat for 3 or 4 different people and that symbol pops up continuously, and you say, okay, I'm getting this, is this where this is connecting? Does this resonate with you? And they say, oh yeah, it does. Well, now you're getting confirmation that now you have in your vocabulary, when I see this symbol, this is what this means. When I see a brown square like this, a brown square will pop up. And when it does, if it's in connection with some kind of emotion, then I know it's my grandmother energy, because my grandmother makes a special cookie that nobody else makes, and it's like a molasses kind of cookie that's square and it's brown. And one of my cousins actually make that cookie now that tastes like my grandmother's. But when I see that square, and I get I'm knowing it, I'm in that kind of feeling, then I know that this is a grandmother energy. This is a grandmotherly energy. Somebody who's coming in as a grandmother, or there's a grandmotherly feeling around this, or there's a feeling about this warm and endearing kind of love, or you needing a grandmotherly kind of love or a motherly kind of love. So again, it's learning and growing that experience. Bonnie says beards look great. Looking great. Thank you, Bonnie. I'm like, I keep saying I'm Psychic Santa. Anyway, so hopefully it helped you, Lisanne. Hopefully it helped you. Again, it's learning to make sure you have those connections and learning to understand what that symbology is. And one of the very best ways to grow that symbology dictionary is by practicing your skills and working with people. So where when you're connecting, and then they can tell you if it resonates or not. And eventually you're going to hit on the right way to read that. And you're going to get 2 or 3 hits, and they're going to say the same thing. You're like, okay, I've got a new one to add to my vocabulary. So that's kind of the way it works, or at least that's what I have found. Lisanne says, true, I often dream of specific things in a different circumstance in many dreams. So the dreams seem odd or random, but there is quirky, constant symbols on something. Absolutely. Again, so if you start making notations of the different dreams, but at the same time, as you start seeing that same symbol in those different dreams, they're going to have a commonality to what it could mean. And it's like arrows pointing, like one coming from here, one coming from here, and it'll kind of connect to you. Bonnie asks, common question is, what if you don't remember your dreams? Very good question, Bonnie. Most people don't. And that is very true. Most people do not remember their dreams, especially beyond the first wake up. So when you first wake up, you may remember your dreams, but if you do nothing about it at that point, you may very well quickly lose that dream, and I do it quite often. One thing that I have done, and it does seem to work for me, and other people I've advised to do this as well, is before you go to sleep at night. These are the 2 things I do, believe it or not. First of all, I sit in my bed and I say, okay, if anybody's here and wants to come forward and have a conversation, you are welcome to do so. I have no problem, and I'm open to it. So please, you're invited to come in. However, I have 2 rules, and this is truly what I say. I have 2 rules. And first of all is, if you mean me and my family any harm or ill will, you are not to come in. You are not welcome here. You must leave. And secondly, if you are evil or mean as a spirit or as an entity, you must leave as well. You are not welcome. All others are welcome, and I open up to you. Believe it or not, I do that every night. And every once in a while, I'll get a feeling that there's a spirit there, and that spirit will have a conversation. Most often, they're not there. And I make sure then that everybody knows, the spirit world knows, that my bedroom is off limits after that. Once I'm done, I'm like, okay, I'm going to bed now. So no one is to come in to this room to disturb me until morning. And I set the rule. And I know it sounds crazy, but believe it or not, it works. And then the second thing that I do, the second kind of separate thing I do, is I tell Spirit, allow me to remember tomorrow the dreams that are important from tonight. Now, I don't ask them to allow me to remember all my dreams. You notice I do say important. So I ask them, Spirit, allow me to remember tomorrow the dreams that are important tonight. And then the next morning, you'll be surprised. I do remember for most of the next day the dream. And at that point also, I have a book beside my bed, and I have a pencil, or it's in my first drawer, and I write down the dreams if I feel like I'm going to lose them, if I feel like they won't stick with me. And it's interesting because I'll have a feeling, I'll have like an inkling of what dream really impacted me, and then what dream is kind of like an out there dream, but I'll write them down anyway just to make sure. So those are some ways that I do to help me remember. Now, for those people who think you do not dream, one thing that I would suggest to you is that, and this is going to be a bit irritating for the first little bit, but set an alarm clock up. And if you go to bed at 10, make sure you're at 12, 2, and 4. You set an alarm and you wake up at 12, 2, and 4. And you space it about 2 hours, 1.5 to 2 hours apart, no matter what time you go to bed. But when you wake up, as soon as you wake up, get your book, because you probably be waking up from a dream, and write down whatever you experience, and then try to go back to sleep. Or even do it once a night or 2 times a night, whichever, it doesn't matter. But you, generally speaking, from what I've read, people go into REM state about 3 times a night. And usually there's a separation about 1.5 to 2 hours. So if you're conking out at 10, somewhere around midnight, you're probably starting to dream, or you're already in your dream. So that is an idea, that is a possibility to be able to also, for those who do not believe they dream, you'd be surprised when you wake up, you're like, damn, I am dreaming. But before you do that, the most important thing to do is ask Spirit to just remind you of the dreams in the morning. Let you remember the dreams in the morning. You'd be surprised how that'll save you from 3 alarms at night. Give it a try and let me know. Let's see. Metal Gaming says, love the beard, brother. So glorious. Thank you, sir. I enjoy my beard very much. I've had a beard since I was 16. And it is kind of like, it's part of me. It really is. And I would miss it. And I very seldom shave it. And if it is, I feel that wind on my face and I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. It's kind of different, because right now, as you can see, I do not feel wind. Let's see. Love the Beard Brothers. Hi from Ohio. Hi, Cassie Perry from Ohio. Nice to see you join in. Everybody, let me know where you're coming from, by the way. It'd be interesting to see where you're coming from. Hello, Linda. Nice to see you as well. Nice to see you popping in. Is simply saying not welcome enough if you decide to open up the Spirit? Absolutely. Listen, I truly, truly believe it, because I'm experiencing it all the time. I have yet, and I knock on wood for this because I am superstitious, as you can tell, I'm sure, but I have yet to have a negative spirit come in, because I very clearly set my guidelines, and I'm like, you are not welcome here. You are not welcome here. So when I open myself up in the opening process, when I entertain the fact, and I tell people, not people, but spirits and whatever, or even the people who have passed, whatever, when I open that door to them, when I open that portal, that window, whatever you want to say, when I open that opportunity, I make sure that I clarify the limitations, the parameters. And believe it or not, I've yet to have a problem with it. So I do truly believe I can control that. I do truly believe that we have the way to control that, because we are, again, light, and we are good, positive light. And when you don't allow negative energy to slip in, because your positive light is out there, you're pushing, you're repelling, you build that force around you because you put it out there in words. But the one thing I will tell you is you must speak them. If you're going to lay in bed and go, and you're just thinking it, not enough. I'm serious. You need to project it. I've said the same thing about affirmations. You can make affirmations all day, but if you don't speak them to the universe, you cannot guarantee the universe has heard them. If you hear them, the universe does. So I do believe you have to speak it. But yes, I believe that once you speak it, once you tell the universe, once you tell spirits that they're welcome to come in, if they choose to come in, and you tell them, the evil ones or the mean ones or whatever, they can't come in, I've yet to have one slip in. And of course, tonight I may be surprised and like, we're going to show you. But I don't believe so. I believe that you can create that barrier. You can lay those rules down, and Spirit has listened so far. I have other friends who do the same thing, and I've yet to hear any of them have a problem either. So if you ever do have a problem, or if you try it, let me know. I'd be interesting to hear. But yes, listen, say it out loud. You must speak it. You must speak it. Don't think it only. Speak it. Speak it. Speak it. Okay. Cassie asks, do I meditate? Cassie, I do, but I am terrible at meditation. And so I had to learn a way to control my meditation. At first, I called it meta sleep, because I would sit there and I'm like, or whatever noise you want to do, or just sit there. And I would call it meta sleep, because within a minute or two, I was conked out and I would be gone. So for me, it did not work. That form of meditation did not work. But remember, meditation is solely to help you focus and to learn focus and to be able to control your body, your mind, and your spirit. Make it one. Again, it's all about controlling and learning to kind of go to a place where you can clear your mind. And again, that's the control. Your mind has the control to be able to clear it and to cleanse your body and so forth. So when I do meditate, what I did to help me learn to meditate was what I was speaking about earlier with somebody online. It was Lisanne online, and that is I put the candle up and I light the candle. And again, I get a long tapered candle, because the candle is not the important thing. I don't need it to be large. I just need it to be tall enough so where the flame is about here. And I stare into the flame for 5 minutes. And I block everything else out in the world and then focus solely on that flame. As I focus on the flame, that is my meditation, because it forces me to focus solely on one thing. And after about a week or two, I realized that now I had control over when, where, and how my mind turns on, turns off, to what extent, all those things, where before that I didn't. And to me, that's what meditation's about. Again, meditation is not about Zen necessarily in my world. My meditation is about me learning how to control my mind and allow my mind to turn off when it needs to turn on when it needs to, and to become very attuned when I'm needing spirit to come in or when I'm inviting them in. And other times when I'm not, and I turn it off because I'm like, my radars are not out. Spirit, you're not welcome. Now that doesn't always work, because this past weekend I was driving and a spirit decided it was coming in anyway, but I didn't really turn myself off. I just wasn't thinking I was on. So that's what I'm saying there. So consider that and keep that in mind. Do you say the guidelines out loud, or can you say it? No, Joe, I absolutely say them out loud. The guidelines, you're speaking to the spirit, you're speaking to universe. And so, yes, I speak them out loud. I speak them very clearly and out loud, so that anything or anyone around me knows what I'm saying and where I stand. And then again, before I go to sleep, that's when I close it down and I say, okay, thank you for all who came in. You're welcome. You were welcome, and I appreciate that. But it is now your turn to leave. No one is welcome here now, and no spirit, no entity, no energy, however you want to say it. But I always say no one. No one is welcome here now until the morning, and I will see you in the morning. And then I at that point, it shuts down, and I don't feel energy around me. I don't feel disturbances. I feel absolutely nothing, and that is wonderful. At one time, I always felt things around me. I always felt heavy sometimes, light sometimes, hot and cold, and energy and disturbances. And sometimes my hair would be brushed and pushed. Sometimes my feet would be bumped. And I'm like, no. This has got to stop, because I need to control my sleep. I need to control myself. And so by doing that, I've really gotten much better at sleeping, because now I sleep on my terms. And I'm kind of liking it. Well, not kind of liking it, I'm really liking it. So something to consider, something to very much consider. Let's see. Lisanne says, is daydreaming a form of meditation? For me, it can seem so. My mind closes out to the distractions. It's a way to focus on what I want to. Well, it's absolutely. I don't know. Again, to me, meditation comes in very many ways and forms, depending on how you are good at meditating, how you meditate, because every mind is different. So if anything can help to bring you to a different state, to help you to control your mind, which is the most important thing, it's learning how to control your mind and being able to turn it on, turn it off, clean it out, to open it up or whatever, then that would be a definite form of meditation. For me, daydreaming is in essence a way. For me, daydreaming is connecting to spirits, because when I start daydreaming, I start getting ideas and things from spirits that are around me, or entities or energy that's around me, and all of a sudden I'm learning and picking up on things. So for me, it's more of a communication tool. It kind of allows me to just let my mind go and accept whatever comes through. So for me, it's not so much of a meditation. It's more of an invitation to communicate, I guess you would say. I'm very visual, and daydreaming appeals to me. Then absolutely consider it, do it, and enjoy it. Absolutely. No complaints there. I need to get a quick drink here. I've been jabbing along. The one thing that's interesting is that very many people can kind of find ways to, when you start doing tarot cards, or you do mediumship, or you do psychic work, all mediums are psychics, but not all psychics are medium. In other words, you can have psychic abilities, but yet you have maybe not tapped into your mediumship ability. So yes, you can see energies around people, and you can pick up. And again, what I mean by the energies around you, what I'm saying is there are people that come in, and when they sit in front of me, when I'm reading them psychically, I'm picking up the energies around them. And that energy that surrounds them is what I'm tapping into. And I get so much information from that energy. But when I then turn over and click up a notch, and then turn on the mediumship stuff, I'm not picking up the energies around them anymore, because the energies around them is just information that is about them and what they're thinking and all those things. Now I'm picking up spirits. And so spirits are people around them, people who've passed around them. And so I'm picking up energies and entities, and they are very different than the energy of the person. So when you are psychic, you can be psychic and yet have no mediumship abilities, not because you don't have it, it's because you may not have developed it, or you're not ready to embrace it. And when I first started down this road, I kind of poo-pooed it and didn't really want to go there. Over time, I did, and it has come in, and it's been wonderful. So again, every psychic is not a medium, but every medium is a psychic. So keep that in mind. And where was I going with that? I was going someplace. Oh, I think it comes back to the process. Again, is that as you go down the road, when you start with tarot cards, now you don't have to be psychic to do tarot cards. This is another thing, is the tarot cards, again, are in and of themselves independent ways to communicate. And so you can learn tarot, and you can learn all the different things about tarot, and you can do a reading quite well without having any psychic ability, because tarot picks up on the energies for you. So you're not doing the work. Tarot is doing the work. It's picking up the energies around the person that's there. And then as you spread them out, your sole job is to be able to understand the images that are in front of you. And that's just a logical education. It's a way of understanding logically how to put symbols together and understand how they can work together to create a storyline. Now, not all tarot readers are psychic, but most psychics are damn good at tarot reading, because as you start shuffling the cards, you start connecting. And a lot of times you don't even need the cards, because and I do that often myself. I'll start doing this. I'll start shuffling the cards, and that's the energy that I need. It rises my vibration. It rises the energy around us. And that vibration then rises to the point where I'm now connecting to the same energy level as spirits. And then I'm open to them, and I can communicate with them much easier. Again, when you do readings, when you are doing psychic work, you have to raise your vibrational level, because spirit levels, vibrational level is higher than our usual. And so often music will work for that. Music works quite well. A laughter and joking will do it, because laughter raises our energy level. You'll notice with Angie and I, as we are doing psychic readings together, I'll start joking, and she'll start joking, and we just laugh. And as we laugh, all of a sudden there's more energy coming in, and we start getting more and more hits. And that is because that energy is being raised by the laughter. And so as we raise our energy levels, we then can read better. But most psychics can read tarot cards without even reading them, because they can pick up the energies from the tarot card and the individual. But again, tarot readers, not all tarot readers are psychic, because some of them don't, that's not their path. They're just comfortable with knowing and understanding the symbols, again, each symbol and how they work and how they coordinate with each other. For me, it definitely helps. I love it, because I'll start reading, and as I'm reading, the images start moving, and all of a sudden I'm seeing a picture come together, and then I'm seeing this and this, and so it's amazing how it's been so beneficial to understand tarot, to help me with my psychic work. And also a number of the tarot symbols I have adopted in that communication side, so it allows me to then communicate even better, which is wonderful. Do we have any other questions? Anything else that I can maybe answer? Any other insights? While I sip my water again, I will tell you, it's interesting. I don't know if anybody's seen some of the videos that we've done in the past, but for me, I have always known that I've never poo-pooed it, and I've always accepted the fact that I am someone who has abilities. Again, I believe we all have them, but I was never someone who was told not to believe that. And so, even though I was very rooted into the church and I was doing a lot of stuff in the church, I always believe I had abilities because I saw that in my mother. My mother has amazing abilities, and she herself doesn't even know what she has, or does it come in her mind that they're anything more than just country kind of premonitions and things? But it's psychic ability. And so I remember one of the most strongest memories of her psychic abilities. Now, of course, I always knew that she was psychic, and I always knew she had abilities. But I remember one time we were all upstairs in our back room in our house. We were in Baltimore on Gilmore Street in Baltimore, Maryland, and that's where I grew up. And we were all wrestling around on the bed in my mom's room, and I forget why we were all there, but all the kids, there are four of us, and we were all just messing around and yelling and screaming and playing. And mom was like a big kid sometimes, and she was with us and she was playing too. And all of a sudden she stopped and she reached for the phone that was on the headboard of her bed. And back then, of course, phones were, a cord, and it was one of those slimline phones. I'll never forget. It was one of those slimline phones that had like a clamshell kind of deal, And so she picked the phone up before it rang, and she said, what's wrong? Who's whatever? And we're like, Mom, the phone didn't even ring. And on the other side, her sister was calling to let her know that their other sister had just been killed in a car accident, and that their mother was in the hospital in critical condition. They weren't sure she was going to survive the night. And my mom's like, don't worry, we're getting in the car now, we're leaving, we're going. And so my mom scrambled. And because of all that, most of the other kids didn't pick it up, but I did, and it stayed in my head. I'm thinking, how did she know? What was it that triggered in her? And it was a confirmation that she had this ability. So when we finally got into West Virginia, it was a 7-hour ride. When you see we get there, I'm tired and whatever, and mom is just really alert because she's very high alert because she's having to go through all this, and she's processing the fact that her sister had been killed, her mother may be next, and so forth and so on. And she couldn't sleep. And so I sat up and just kind of chatted with her, and I asked her, and I asked her, I said, what happened? She said, I don't know. I just felt it ring. I felt I needed to answer it. So I did. And then I didn't push much more because it wasn't part of her wheelhouse to have that conversation. I don't think she saw it as anything strange, but at the same time, I don't think she saw it as a gift. I think she just was in the moment. And so it was that adrenaline, but it was more than adrenaline. And so for me, that is my triggering thing. And I always remember that. And I know that this is where my abilities came from. I have never seen my dad have any kind of ability in that regard, nor would he ever communicate about it. But my mom, she doesn't communicate about it, but I've seen it happen a few times, and she is amazing. And the worst part is she had the mother instinct too. So if she knew something was wrong, she knew what you did before you did it. And she'd even warn you sometimes and said, don't do this. Don't go there because I know what you're going to do and you're not going to like it. And so I'm blessed to come from that. But again, the ability is the same in all of us, I truly believe. It's just that my mother never suppressed ours. My mother never even called it anything more than just whatever we wanted to identify it to be. And that I think was very helpful. Now, Sand says it's not often talked about, but I think people who are empaths are in fact psychic mediums in a different way. We feel messages. Absolutely. Actually, empaths are psychic because, again, you're picking up energy. You are picking up the energy usually with an empath, and empaths, by the way, are people who feel what you feel. And so if you're an empath and you come to me and I'm excited, you may feel some of the excitement. Now, the one thing, if I'm feeling down, you will definitely feel down. That's the strange thing about empaths is, generally speaking, empaths won't feel the high highs, but they will feel the low lows. They feel the sadness, the depression, the anger, the frustration far more vivid than the good stuff. So they will feel a little bit of a rise in happiness if people are laughing heartily or so forth. But they really do truly feel the negative side, and they feel that entirely. And I don't understand how that works, but that's what I've seen over and over again. And Lisanne, I think you may have understood that too. And so if you are empath, that is psychic abilities, because again, it is you're sensing. So you're sensing the energy, the feeling, and it is one of the senses in that sense. Now, your question, of course, is how do you protect yourself as an empath? There is one exercise that I over and over recommend to people. I guess I would say I recommend over and over to people. I don't know proper English there, but the point is that this exercise allows you to put on armor, and this armor will bounce off that feeling, and it allows empaths to walk into a room, because empaths go crazy in large environments, because when they walk into a room, all that energy hits them at one time, and so they're feeling this one's frustration, this one's anger, this one's happiness, this one's sadness, this one's whatever, and all at the same time, and it can be very debilitating. And that's why a lot of empaths like smaller groups, because they can control to a degree of the amount of pressure hitting them. Oh, and they can also excuse themselves when they need to, where with a large room, it's like no matter where you go, you're still with somebody. So what I would suggest is this, and what I advise people to do is this, and that is, this is first of all a visualization exercise to begin with. And that is you're looking for a ball in front of you, or like a plate of gold, but it's gold. That's the key. So either an orb of gold or a plate of gold, it does not matter, but a circular something of gold. And then once you visualize that gold orb is there, or that gold circle is there, what you should do is you should reach out to it and then touch it, and then start spreading it like this, and spread it and spread it. Again, this is part visualization, so it takes you a while to actually learn how to focus to get the gold orb or the gold disc. But once you do, then it takes you a while to figure out how to start doing this. But once you do, you start stretching it, and you're going to put it over your head, and you're going to pull it down over you, and you're going to get it all the way eventually so where it's under your feet. And so you are totally surrounded by gold, and you can call it gold Christ light. You can go gold boundaries. You can go whatever you want. But the point is you've now created a shell around you, a cocoon. And that cocoon will then bounce things off. So if somebody's putting a psychic hit on you and they're sending all this bad psychic energy, it'll bounce off. If somebody is close to you and you are empathic and they're sending you, you were once feeling their situation, with this, it will not. It won't get through. The other good thing about this is it doesn't totally keep you away, but what it will do is it will allow you to bring people in. So what you can do is you have this cocoon around you. You can push out your cocoon and bring somebody into the cocoon. So in other words, stretch the gold around them. So now they're inside. And so you can feel, if you want to feel what they feel, or you can talk and communicate with them in a very empathetic way where you would otherwise not. And when you're done, you can visually, again, bring that gold beyond them and back and surrounding solely you. So again, it's so much about understanding and creating this cocoon. But this cocoon will protect you in so many ways, and it will allow you to control access. And therefore, when you walk into a crowded room as an empath for the first time in your life, you're going to say, holy crap, I'm feeling what everybody else is feeling. Absolutely nothing except maybe the joy I see, or the joy of having people have a good time, but not everybody else's pain or everybody else's joy or everybody else's sorrow. All I'm feeling is the excitement of being around people. And so it's such a great way to help protect yourself. Give that a try and let me know if it works or how it works for you. Again, it takes a while to be able to get the visualization down, but once you get the visualization down and you can create that barrier, you will be protected, and you will be thrilled that you have a way to do that, I am sure. Let's see, Jojo says, I have a lot of self-intuition, but don't get any for other people. Well, Jojo, and again, the good part about that is, again, you're probably not empathic if you're not sensing other people and what they're feeling, and that is a good thing. But the other thing is, when you eventually, what will happen is if you start tapping into your psychic skills, again, if you start learning your psychic skills and you work with people to do it, you'll start your energy field, your ability to reach out your energy field to where you can now touch and feel theirs will come into you, will expand beyond where you're used to. And you'll be able to really connect and start feeling people's, start getting that information. So keep that in mind. Our limitations are only what we put on them. eventually we won't. Now, I will tell you, this is crazy. I mean, there's so much happening for me right now. Every time I turn around, something more is happening, and I'm opening up in so many ways. But I mean, what is it? A few weeks ago, I projected, and I wound up back in the 50s or 60s, and I was like, where the hell am I? And it happened without me even trying to, and it startled me because I had not done that before. And then the other day, I was in the car without even trying to read somebody or even reach out to somebody. I was just driving, and all of a sudden somebody showed up. So it's amazing how once you start working and developing, so much more opens up to you, and your field gets out further and further. And spirit comes in from distances that you might not know before, because they know that, hey, this is somebody who maybe can connect me to somebody else. So it's quite an experience to have. So keep working on it, Jojo. I'm sure that you are going to expand to a point where you're probably going to shock yourself. I really do believe that. Next is Elizabeth Koontz Morris. Elizabeth, I am trying to friend you, by the way, because I heard that you sent a friend request, and I looked on Facebook and I didn't see it. So I'm going to keep looking for that, by the way, and I'm going to give you the friend request. When I see it, I'll pop you in there. But thanks for popping in this evening. And your thing was, thanks for the great information. I know I have abilities. I just don't understand them or know what to do with them. Listening is helping me. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Elizabeth, again, the one thing that you may want to do is join us on our Tuesday night class. It's not really a class. I hate using the word class. It's a collective, a Tuesday night collective of a lot of us who have abilities and a lot of us who don't, and very many in the middle. Anybody who wants to come in, we're doing it on Zoom, and it's free, no charge. We're going to start at 6 p.m. West Coast time. That's 9 p.m. East Coast time. Run for 2 hours on Tuesday night. And what we're going to do is we're going to introduce little ways. Like on that day, we'll say, okay, we're going to introduce this one technique to help us learn to grow our ability. And then we're going to practice that and break out into different sessions. This will be under Zoom. So we need in advance, people who are wanting to join, let us know in advance. And then I will send you a link, and you'll click that night on that link, and it'll bring you into the Zoom class. And the one thing about Zoom that's wonderful is it allows me to break folks out in different smaller groups, because usually you can work in two to four per group, and that way you can practice with each other, and you'll practice on using that technique we talked about that evening, or you'll most importantly just practice on learning again your symbology. So Elizabeth, if you want to grow this, I would suggest send me an email at on the bottom of the thing underneath my name. You'll see it, advice@sonoramystictarot.com. Send me an email with your email address, and I will send you a link so you can join us on Tuesday night for the class. And again, it'll help you to develop your skills. And more importantly, you're going to be around like-minded people where you're going to feel totally comfortable, and you're going to be totally unarmed and totally judgment-free zone to be yourself, and probably for the first time in a long time. And that's wonderful. Again, people embracing our differences, and I think that's wonderful. Next, let's see. We see Angels Will Fly. Angels Will Fly. Nice to see you, by the way. Uka M. How will I find out what psychic abilities do I have? Again, I believe we all have psychic abilities, but that is a wonderful question. And the reason why I say it's wonderful is because we are gifted in different ways. So there are what's called different senses. You're either clairsentient, or you're a clairvoyant, or you're claircognizant. I'm claircognizant. So when I say claircognizant, it's called the clairs, by the way. And so you can look them up. It's called the clairs. And when you're claircognizant, you just get a download of information. You don't know how you know, you just know. You're getting information, but you don't know why you have the information. Clairsentient is clairsentient. Is that the sense for smell, I think? Then there's clairaudience, which is you can hear. So again, you hear spirit, you hear answers coming to you. Clairvoyance is seeing. So you see somebody and you're like, okay, I know this. I think it's clairvoyant. Anyway, different senses for different people. Now it's interesting because as you learn your abilities, that whatever sense that comes through, it'll come stronger and stronger and stronger. So you may not know initially what your sense, the strong sense that it's coming in, but you'll quickly figure it out. And you're like, holy crap, I'm smelling, like I'll smell something, if you're clairsentient, I think it's clairsentient descent. When you'll smell something and you're like, when I smell that, that means this is what it means. Or you'll get an image and you're like, okay, again, you'll get a symbol, or you'll get somebody walking or something, or you'll pick up information. Or for me, claircognizant, I get a download of data and then I have to put the pieces together, and it can drive me crazy. But I think because I was in engineering first and then I went to law and become an attorney, I'm used to taking complicated concepts and files and making something of them and figuring out how to make something work. And so I think that's how come I'm kind of stuck with claircognizance, because it's kind of like everything I've done so far has kind of done the same thing. So as you work through your psychic abilities, you will figure out which it is, what sense you have. And sometimes if you depend solely on one sense, spirit will often start dimming that sense to therefore make you go and develop your other sense as well. And the same thing with certain skill sets. You'll do the same thing. Again, spirit wants you to be more well-rounded. And so if you start focusing too much on one, don't be surprised if you get a curveball and they're like, okay, we're going to shut that down for now. And you're going to have to really work on focusing on this. So that's kind of a very roundabout way of letting you know how that works. But again, you will figure it out, because one will rise to the top. One sense, whatever sense it might be. Again, it could be visual, it could be audio, it could be knowledge, it could be smell, it could be taste. You could wind up tasting things and say, oh, when I get that taste, this is what I'm getting. It's amazing, the information and how we get it. Our bodies are so adept at picking up so many things. So again, appreciate the temple that you have. It's amazing what it can do for you. Thank you for the question, by the way. I love it. Oh my goodness. So let's see. What else was I? Again, the tarot cards. For me, again, the tarot cards, when I do tarot cards, by shuffling, I tend to get energy, and that energy releases. Some people you see will do auto writing. They'll be scratching and scratching and scratching. They can't read the scratching. The scratching that they do is they're not doing it to read. They're doing it to create the energy again, and that energy then pops up. And so you'll see with like Tyler Henry, he does the scratching, but his scratching doesn't mean anything. He doesn't write anything. It's just about that motion. Teresa Caputo, I think her name is, or whatever, Teresa something. She's from Long Island. She does the same thing. There are other people that do different things. I've tried the auto writing just to try to get things going, and yet for some reason, the tarot, by shuffling tarot cards, that really works for me. And when I first started trying to do things psychically, I kept hoping that I would see visuals, and I kept asking, let me see, let me hear, let me see, let me hear. And believe it or not, I still ask at least 3 times a week before I go to bed. I ask spirit to allow me to, I even ask the spirits that are there. It's like, if one of you will come in and teach me how to hear and see, I would love that. And yet it hasn't happened. So I keep working on it. And one day it may happen. And every once in a while I do get to see something now. I am starting to see things, but use their spirits. And I'm not seeing other things, but I do see spirits now. And but I keep working on it, and I believe it's going to happen someday. But it's funny because Angie warns me. She's like, be careful, because you may not like what you get. Once they come in, they don't stop. And I'm like, of course, I'm determined. Yeah, I'm going to make them stop when I want to. We shall see. Now, Uka says also how to find out who are my angels and spirit guides. I try to connect to them, but they don't answer. I keep practicing. Well, Uka, that's the one most important thing, again, is keep practicing. I wouldn't worry so much about your spirit guides, but I will give you, I mean, it's not like they're there anyway, and they're communicating, and eventually you will know them. So I wouldn't focus solely on them, but I can give you an exercise, and I'll give everybody this exercise tonight. This will be a little teeny bit long, so ride with me on this, okay? There are 2 ways in which I can say do this. And one way would be this, is that you center yourself. You get in. You sit in a chair. Sitting is required, not laying down. Sitting. You have your legs not crossed. You have your arms not crossed. Your feet must be flat and firmly on the ground. And then you're going to visualize a gold kind of energy here in your heart, in the heart chakra. Okay. And then that gold energy, that gold power, that energy, you're going to see it. Then you're going to tell yourself to force it down through your body and out your feet into the ground. And what that does is it's going to start grounding your energy. So where you're going to burn off some energy that you don't need. You're going to get rid of some energy you don't need. You're also going to take that same light eventually, and you're going to force it up through your head and to the universe. You're going to take it all the way as far as you can see. So now you're connecting to the universe as well as the ground, and you're grounded. With that said, then you're going to, and it take a little bit of time. Again, I'm giving you the fast process through. Usually you can talk through this with a meditation, and it's slower and more methodical, but I don't have time for that. So I'm giving you the quick and skinny. So once you visualize the fact that you've gotten your energy shooting through the head and out to the universe, you've gotten your energy shooting all the way to the ground, then you're going to visualize that there is a stair step in front of you, and it's a spiral staircase, okay, a spiral one. And you're going to get on the spiral staircase, and you're going to start climbing. And as you climb the staircase, you're going to, the color is going to change. And you're going to go through the 7 chakra colors, one at a time, until you get to the very top, which is either, depending on how you see it, sometimes people call the crown chakra gold, others purple. It doesn't matter, whichever you see. But at that point, you're going to come through that color and then off into the clouds. So you're not come off of the step, and there is a cloud there, and you're walking on the clouds. You're visualizing this. Again, this is a great visualization exercise. Then, if you look in the distance, you will see a small cabin. Go to the cabin. Walk to the cabin. Yeah, the 7 chakras. Yep. Anyway, in the 7 colors. And again, each in order until you get to the very top. So you're going to walk to the cabin, and as you walk to the cabin, you're going to see a cabin with a porch. You're going to walk up onto the porch. You're going to see a chair here, a chair there. Again, a lot of visualization. Once you do that, you're going to open the door, go in. As you go in, if you look left and you look right, it's very vintage. It's very old feel. There's stuff on the walls, those kind of things. In front of you is a massive fireplace, and that fireplace is burning, and it feels so warm and comfortable. Not too hot, just a nice, comfortable warmth to it. If you look to the left and to the right of the fireplace, focusing, kind of facing the fireplace, are 2 chairs, and their backs are to you. In one, you see an arm, and that arm is on the arm of the chair. There's an arm that is attached to somebody. Somebody's sitting in that chair. What then you do is you go to the other chair and have a seat. And again, the chairs are like this, so they're not facing each other, but they're kind of like you can see each other from there. And they're both facing the fireplace in that sense. And so when you sit in the chair, and once you are comfortable, then you're going to have yourself look over to the other chair and see who's there. That's your spirit guide. And you're going to speak to the spirit guide, and you're going to ask, would you share your name? Are you my spirit guide? Do I have others? Whatever they're willing to give you. When you're done with that visitation, again, ask some questions. They may not be very talkative. They may be very talkative. It could be either way. Once you're done with that visitation, you want to get up. You want to thank Spirit, and you want to thank them for coming in and for allowing you to sit with them. You're going to get up. You're going to leave. You're going to shut the door behind you, and you're going to come down off of this porch, back onto the stairway, and all the way back down, and then come back into yourself. When you come back into yourself, you're going to pull that light down from the universe, and you're going to pull that light up from the feet, and then you're going to wake up. You're going to come out of it. That is the process. That is one of the processes of helping you to meet your spirit guides. It will not happen the first time. Again, this is a process itself. You have to go through this a few times before you really get that good at it. And again, it's a lot of visualization, but what happens here is, again, suspending disbelief. You have to go into this with your ego pushed aside. Do not come in thinking this is crazy and I'm like, I don't know what I'm seeing. Again, who cares? Put all that out of your mind. All you want to do is say, I'm open to learning and understanding and growing, and then just go through this process. Once you go through this process a few times, you will get much better at it. And eventually, when you sit down in that chair, you look over, you will see your spirit guide. And you're like, holy crap, isn't that amazing? And then eventually they'll talk to you, and that's when you're thinking, my mind is blown. I can't believe it. I'm finally talking to my spirit guide. Now, they may not speak to you in voice because, again, you may not be able to hear. They may give you a name in writing over their heads. They could give you a name that just is in your head and it happens. Again, everybody does it differently, but do this exercise, and I think you will be very happy with the results you get if you do it consistently a few times. Do it the same way. And yes, you can do it to music. You can do it without music. It does not matter which way you do it, but The most important thing is you're focusing on what you're doing. And again, also remember the 7 colors of the chakras. They're not so important. I use them because as I do that, it's what happens is as I'm helping you to visualize walking up your chakras and more or less coming up to the top of your body to your head, because this is where it's all happening, right here, your crown chakra, okay? And that's the connection to universe. So give that a try and let me know if anybody has success with that. Maybe visualize any kind of house. You may visualize any kind of house, but again, the one thing you do with a cottage or a small cabin is that you don't have a lot of distractions because it's one small room and the fireplace. The fireplace is important because you're setting a very comforting zone. When you sit, usually when you visualize fireplaces, again, fire is that energy, it's that light, it's that essence, and more importantly, it is that warm and comfortable spirit of helping you to decompress. And so usually fire helps us to relax and kind of controlled fire helps us relax and come and bring ourselves down. And it also, with the crackling and so forth, it helps us to visualize the fact that when we look over, we're going to like what we see. So again, it's a mind game, to say the least. In that sense, if you want to do it, you have to really prepare your mind has to be open to letting in what comes in. But yes, you can use another house if you want. But again, you want it small because, again, you don't want all the distractions. When you walk in, you don't need to see a lot of stuff on the walls. You don't need to see a lot of rooms. There's no need for rooms. The fireplace, the 2 chairs, that's the key, because in one of them is your spirit guide. The other one's a space for you. And whether it's right or left, it doesn't matter. You can see the spirit guide in one or the other. It doesn't matter. But again, they'll be in one, you'll be in the other. So keep that in mind. But yes, any house is fine, actually. There are some people that actually visualize you going up and getting off an elevator on the top floor. So get into an elevator, hit a button, go to the top floor. When the top floor opens, you enter into a room that is from your past, a room that is most comfortable to you, a room that brought you peace and serenity, a room that you felt wonderful and loved in. And so you walk into that room. And when you're in that room, again, you have 2 chairs, you sit down in a chair, you look over, there's your thing. So that's also an option. Instead of walking, you can jump in an elevator, hit a button, go to the top floor. It's a little bit quicker ride, but there is an energy about going up the staircase because it helps, again, to bring you deeper and deeper into the moment. So keep that in mind. Thank you, Sharon. My background is actually my fireplace in my house. And I love our fireplace. It's one of the things that drew me to this house. Now, to be honest with you, that background, that fireplace is larger than it appears. I'm sitting here and I'm about maybe 6 or 7 feet away from the fireplace, because if I were to stand up and go to the fireplace, I would be able to stand inside this top piece here. So I would be under this. Actually, I'll show you. Hold 1 second. I'll show you how it is. So as you can see, I'm about 6'1" and 6'1", 6'2", and you see I have this much. I have this much ahead of me, and I cannot touch the sides. I am way far away from the sides. So it shows you how big this fireplace is. It's just interesting when I sit here, it seems to shrink up a little bit. And I don't know if y'all could hear me when I was speaking, but I was saying that I am 6'1" and about 6'1", and when I stand in that fireplace, I have this much above me, still ahead of me. And then as my arms are out, I still had all that space. So it shows you how big that fireplace is. It covers a large part of that wall in our house. So, and now I'll put the mic back on. So if you hear bumping, it's because I'm moving and manipulating the mic. So, but thank you. Yes, I love the fireplace. We love it. We love it very much. It's one of the things that, again, drew me to the house. So, helped us decide that we wanted to buy the house. So, let's see. Uka, yesterday I couldn't get reading from you. I hope to get one day. You are a nice person. Well, thank you, Uka. I am perspective, illusion, and lovely. Absolutely, it's true. It's a perspective issue there. We are back on live on Wednesday evenings, And Wednesday evenings, we start somewhere usually around 6 p.m. West Coast time, 9 p.m. East Coast time. And then on Thursday mornings, I start at 7 and I go until about 10. That's West Coast time. East Coast time is 10 and on. On Wednesday nights, I'm with Angie. She and I do this together. We tag team and we do psychic readings as well as tarot readings. And then on Thursday mornings, I'm with Shauna, and Shauna and I do a lot of card readings and then sometimes psychic readings. So it's a mix of different things as it goes along. Now, there are times where when I'm doing it, also a spirit will come in. And if they do, I talk to that spirit because they're usually coming in for the person we're reading at the time. And last night, when we were doing this, we had a few spirits come in, and those spirits were wonderful. And I was able to communicate with them for the people that they were meant to be for. And the people, the spirits were very clear. I love to give confirmational energy. I love to give information that proves indeed I'm talking to a spirit, I'm talking to the specific. So I was very happy that I was able to give very specific information that was confirmed by the person it was meant for. They were saying, oh yeah, that is exactly. And that's important to me because, excuse me, sorry about that. When you, everybody can, I can sit there and I can tell you, oh, I see this older gentleman. He's here. He must be your grandfather. Is that right? Well, he told me he loves you. Come on. I'm not saying that people won't, I'm not saying that they're not seeing it, but what I'm telling you is if I were to tell somebody, I see your grandfather, he's an older gentleman, he's here, and that's it. Well, come on, it just doesn't confirm for me that they're seeing who they're seeing. When I see somebody, when I see them spirit, and again, my mediumship has really stepped up over the last month or two or three. I took a master class, and after taking that master class, it taught me ways to really open up my mind. And since then, it's been crazy. So again, when I do this, when I watch mediums, I want them to give me very specific information. The other day, when I was talking to the mother and I was coming up with 9/11, and I'm asking, what does 9/11 have to do with her? And hello, Jocelyn, nice to see you. When I was talking about 9/11 and I said, what does it have to do with her? It took somebody a while, but they finally, oh, wait a minute. And I'm like, it's not 9/11 as in that date, and then I said, how about August of 2011? Does that resonate? And the girl's like, oh yeah, so that is my mother because that's the day she died. And that's the month she died, not the day she died. That was the month she died. And I'm like, oh, okay. So again, very specific information. Sometimes I get the names. Sometimes I get the very specific things about how they passed maybe, or I'll get very specific things about what they know about the individual who I'm reaching out to, or why they're reaching out to the individual, why they're coming through me to communicate, those kind of things. So hello, Francois. Everybody does it differently, but the good part is that when you connect with the energy, and it's amazing. So becoming a medium is not difficult. Again, I believe strongly that it's in us already. Everybody has it. It's our sense. It's just we have to turn it back on. And that's what I was doing that's what I do with our group on Monday nights. We practice over and over again here in Tempe. And that's what we're doing on Tuesday nights with our online group. So if anybody's interested in learning to grow their mediumship or their psychic abilities, make sure you send me an email to that email on the bottom, advice@sonormouslytarot.com. And I will make sure I add you to the list for our class on Tuesday nights, and you'll get a link to join us on Zoom. It's a private Zoom meeting, so it won't be here in public. It'll just be those of us who are there, and we'll be practicing and learning how to develop those skill sets. But yes, we are all mediums. We're all psychics. We just have to work on opening those doors. And again, if you'd asked me a year and a half ago if I was a medium, I would kept saying what I said then. I'm not a medium. I can't do that. And over the last year and a half, I learned, first of all, to stop saying that, because if you say it, you make it so. And I learned not to say it. And I learned to say, you know what? I'm getting better at it. And now I have done, I've just come so far, and I'm thrilled with that. I would like to be better at it. I truly would, because, there's always room for improvement. But right now it's coming along very well. So yes, join us. Yes, I love to open the doors of Medium. Well, yeah, Jocelyn, the same thing. Don't forget, if you would like to learn how to develop and tap these abilities and grow these abilities, then join us. Send me your information via email at advice@sonoranmystictarot.com, and I will send you a link before Tuesday that you can join us on Tuesday evening and join us in our group. It's a 2-hour group. We start at 6 p.m. West Coast time, 9 p.m. East Coast time, and wherever else you are, figure that based on those times. And we run for 2 hours. The first little bit will be about talking about growth and technique, and we'll actually introduce a technique. And then once we introduce that technique, we'll break out into separate little groups based on Zoom. So we have ways of doing little Zoom breakout rooms, and you'll do 2, 3, or 4 people in your little group, and you'll practice amongst yourself. And then we'll come back together, talk some more, and break out in different groups again. Again, we'll use the 2 hours to help practice and grow. And we leave our judgment at the door, and we leave our negativity at the door, and we come in with suspended disbelief. So where all things are possible, because when you believe all things are possible, all things are possible. So keep that in mind. Oh my goodness, how much time have I used? I don't even know. It's been an hour already. Holy moly, I did not anticipate that. Ooh. Well, I think I've hit a lot of topics. I just wanted to come on here and have that chat with people because I always, when I'm here, I also mostly do readings, and I've always wanted, I really wanted to just kind of connect and just have this open dialogue and this conversation. So thank you all for letting me do that. Thank you for the wonderful questions. There are never bad questions because all the questions do tend to take us where we are, and so I do appreciate the fact that you all let me do that. And it was a reasonable dialogue, which is wonderful. I'm so blessed to have you guys around. You guys have continued to support myself, Angie, and also Shauna. And so we consider ourselves very fortunate with that. Don't forget, we will be back on Wednesday night, Thursday morning. But if you want to join our class, don't hesitate to drop us that email address, and I will send you a link. You'll get it before Tuesday. But thank you all for popping in. I appreciate it so very much. I'm going to get out of here and try to find myself something to eat real quick before I get to bed. Have a great one, everybody. Thank you again.